Bado tuko mbali na tunaenda wapi? Mbali.
Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV, huduma Katoliki ya uinjilishaji.
Good evening and welcome to the Catholic Focus News Briefs this Tuesday evening, the 13th day of January 2026. I'm Sasha Elizabeth with Eric Maluki as the sign language interpreter. In this broadcast today, we spotlight a historic spiritual celebration, look at a major development in education, and highlight a lifeline of vulnerable children and more. Now let's start with our first story, where Pope Leo XIV has proclaimed a special year of St. Francis to mark the 800th anniversary of the saint's death. The Franciscan Jubilee year began on January 10th and will run until January 10th, 2027, offering the faithful the opportunity to obtain a plenary indulgence under the usual conditions of confession, communion, and prayer for the Pope's intentions. Pilgrims can visit any Franciscan church or place of worship dedicated to St. Francis worldwide to receive the indulgence. Those unable to leave home, including the elderly and sick, can also participate spiritually by offering their prayers and sufferings. In his decree, the Pope emphasized that this Jubilee is a time for peace, spiritual renewal, and imitation of St. Francis, encouraging believers to seek reconciliation with God, others, and creation. The celebration is seen as a gift to the Church and an opportunity for all to become witnesses of holiness and peace in today's troubled world. From a call to spiritual renewal, we now turn focus to a major milestone in the education sector back here at home, where the education sector has ushered in a new chapter for learners under the competency-based education. The government has confirmed that the reporting of the first cohort of grade 10 learners under the competency-based education system has begun successfully across the country. The Cabinet Secretary for Education has described the transition as historic, commending parents, teachers, and school administrators for thorough preparations. At the same time, the government has released 44.2 billion shillings to ensure learning continues uninterrupted, while issuing a warning against unauthorized levies and the misuse of public funds. John Bejan packs the report from Murang'a County.
The dawn of a new chapter in Kenya's education journey for the first time under the competence-based education system. Grade 10 learners are officially stepped into a senior school, an historical milestone that the government says it is unfolding as seamless across the country.
Thank you for inspection, sir!
Speaking during an inspection tour of several senior schools in Murang'a County, the Cabinet Secretary for Education confirmed that reporting for the pioneer cohort has commenced smoothly, with the schools adequately prepared to receive the learners as term 1 of the 2026 academic year begins.
So we started from primary school, just to confirm that they did their work of transitioning students to grade 10 from junior school. What we've really done is to ensure that all our officers are on hand across the country to respond to any challenges that might arise in the admission process. So far, we haven't seen any major issues or major crises, and the admission will go on all the way to Friday, and even after that we will be able to discuss and see what is the issue, a status report on Friday, and that status report will determine on whether we open another window for further admissions until each and every learner out of the 1.13 who did their KJSA are actually admitted.
The Cabinet Secretary hailed the transition as a defining moment in the ongoing education reforms, noting that the placement of the grade 10 learners marks the full implementation of the senior school pathway under the CBC framework. He commended parents and guardians for their cooperation in preparing the learners for reporting, while applauding school heads and teachers for ensuring institutions were ready, both academical and logistical, for the new intake.
We talked to some of the parents and they indicated that they are being attended to, and any of the questions that they have are being answered. We are using the chemist IT module that we created, and the team that is doing the admission is linked to Jugo, and where they need any sort of approval, it is done online, and that kind of placement has gone on quite well.
To support the transition, the government disbursed 44.2 billion in capitation funds to primary, junior and senior schools ahead of the reforming, ahead of reopening an unprecedented move in over decades, aimed at guaranteeing uninterrupted learning.
We have just confirmed that capitation has been received, in fact, earlier, before the schools opened. That capitation has not reduced. Capitation remains 22,240 for senior school, 15,000 for junior school, and 1,500 for primary. In fact, we are working towards raising the one of 1,500 to 2,300 in the next budget cycle, so that it is raised and conforms to the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party.
However, the Cabinet Secretary issued a stern warning to school managers against the misuse of public funds, reiterating that no learners should be sent home of unauthorized levies. He cautioned that any teacher or administrator found violating the directive will be held personally accountable.
Let us avoid creating anxiety in the hearts and minds of the parents. Even as we are doing this placement exercise, we are alive to the fact that some students sometimes can even go into depression if they do not get the school they want. So we are alive to that fact, and we are saying let us listen to them, so that if there is a possible to change a student from one school to another, depending on the capacity of the schools that they want to move to, we will do it, so that as much as possible our students are in the institutions of their heart's desire.
As the pioneer cohort settles in their senior schools, the government maintains that the systems are in place to ensure a stable, inclusive and learner-catered start, setting the tone for the future education under the CBC system. Reporting for Capuchin TV, Catholic Focus, I'm John Beja.
As schools reopen and learning continues to take shape, support for vulnerable learners is also gaining momentum through private partnerships. As cases of needy children struggling to raise school fees continue to make headlines across the country, at least 400 bright but vulnerable learners have received a major boost after the Safaricom Mpesa Foundation awarded them full secondary school scholarships, offering renewed hope to their families. Maureen Kimani now brings us this story on how the Safaricom Mpesa Foundation is restoring hope to children and families, those whose futures had nearly been shattered by financial hardship.
This story is not new in our country, as every year cases of vulnerable children struggling to access education are reported. It was against this backdrop that the beneficiaries were unveiled during the launch of the expanded Citizens of the Future Sponsorship Award program at the Mpesa Foundation Academy in Thika. Speaking at the event, Safaricom Director of Sustainable Business and Social Affairs, Ms. Karen Basie, said the initiative seeks to widen access to quality education for bright but vulnerable learners across the country.
When we released our forms, we got 8,000 applicants. The demand is there. the need is there.
Under the expanded program, 150 students will be admitted to the Mpesa Foundation Academy, while the remaining learners will be placed in partner secondary schools across the country.
For the last 10 years, Mpesa Foundation has been giving scholarships to students who come to Mpesa Foundation Academy. So this year we have expanded it to cover students who are called to various schools across the country. So we have started with 400 scholarships. 150 of those scholars will be housed here at Mpesa Foundation Academy, and 250 scholars will be in various schools across the county. So merging these two is what brought about the title called Citizens of the Future as the education pillar for Safaricom Foundation, Mpesa Foundation Academy.
Ms. Basie said the scholarships target children from poor and vulnerable backgrounds.
Students who do not have opportunities, where their parents are saying they might not be able to go to school. So we are also monitoring that situation to see who of these meet our criteria of the X factor academic excellence, so that we can also bring them into the scholarship. We are also looking at children's homes, that students who've excelled there. So we have set aside some funds to support those who are not here, those who are out there and still need some support. But they'll follow the same criteria: academic excellence, character, X factor.
For many beneficiaries, the scholarship marks a turning point.
In my class, more than 15 of them were admitted in national school. And as for now, more than 10 have changed to come to a day school within home, of which he was to be among of them, if not for the scholarship.
I'm really happy to be here right now. I'm a member of the Mpesa Foundation Academy, and I'm gonna do my best.
As such cases continue to emerge every year for needy students, the pressing question remains: when and how will the government step in to address this growing challenge in our society? Reporting for Catholic Focus, I'm Maureen Kimani.
Aside from matters education, residents of Huisero constituency have welcomed the operationalization of the Huisero Magistrates Court, saying it brings justice closer to the people. The court, which was launched a few months ago, has now begun hearing cases, a move expected to ease case backlogs and reduce the long journeys residents previously endured in search of justice. Here's Susan Bulemi with the details.
A long wait finally coming to an end. Relief and renewed hope among residents of Huisero constituency as the newly established Huisero Magistrates Court officially begins hearing cases.
Mahakama hii itasaidia kwa sababu ya watoto walikuwa wakinajisiwa shuleni, wengine waendi kwa sababu wanaharibiwa. Alafu watoto wengine wanapotelea kwa kama pombe hivi, wanakunywa pombe, bangi hivi. Tunaenda mbali, sasa inakuwa sasa ni fair. Mtu anaona hata hiyo kesi wacha nitupilie mbali, haina haja. Sasa kwa saa hii itakuwa ni vizuri. Jambo lolote ambalo ni mbaya itakuwa inasuluhishwa.
For years, locals were forced to travel long distances to neighboring courts to seek justice, an ordeal that often proved costly, time-consuming, and discouraging. Now, justice is quite literally closer to home.
Koti hii ina manufaa mengi, haswa sana ukizingatia tumekuwa tukijaribu kutafuta haki. Ukiangalia upande wa kutembea, tulikuwa tunaenda sehemu mbalimbali ukitafuta haki hii. Lakini leo hii tunashukuru ya kwamba haki hii imekuja mikononi mwetu, imekuja karibu na sisi. Ndiposa utapata ya kwamba kesi nyingi zitaweza kuendelea kwa ajili ya kwamba tumepunguza hali ya usafiri kutoka hapa hadi kule Butere ama Kakamega kwa minajili ya kutafuta haki.
Before Magistrate Angeline Odawo, suspects facing minor offenses reported at Huisero Police Station were formally charged, with some taking plea and others fined, marking the court's first active sessions. Residents have welcomed the development, saying the court will help resolve minor disputes within the constituency, including land cases, petty theft, and domestic disagreements without unnecessary delays.
Mara nyingi maneno ya mashamba tumekuwa tukisumbukana. hata mwenzako anaweza kuchokora tu upande wa boundary ya shamba, lakini kwa sababu hauna nguvu ama hauna pesa, hasa unashindwa kuenda kutafuta haki yako, unawachia tu hapo.
Hizi kesi yenyewe kuna wale ambao wamekuwa kifanya pengine na wanaona kitambo afike kule mbali, hapa katikati kuna mchezo ambao itakuwa umefanya. Sasa unapata mlalamishi anaenda bila kushughulikiwa.
Justice Agre Muchelule, who presided over the session, said the operationalization of the court will significantly ease the backlog of minor cases that have taken years to conclude.
Kama hatukuwa na hii mahakama, kesi zote za Khwisero lazima zingeenda Butere. Na magistrates ni wachache, majaji ni wachache, hiyo ndio inafanya kunakuwa na mrundiko. Tumewaletea registry hapa ya njia mbadala. Tutawezesha nyinyi, tutawapatia elimu ili mketi, kama mna kesi mketi chini nyinyi wawili ama ukiwa watatu wanne, msikizane, na vile mtavyosikizana itakuwa registered hapa, iwe uamuzi bila nyinyi kufanya kesi hapa kotini.
Khwisero Member of Parliament Christopher Aseka noted that the constituency has recorded numerous cases ranging from land disputes to serious offences such as defilement and sodomy. As the court begins its work, residents say the presence of justice institutions closer to home restores confidence in the judicial system and marks a major milestone for Khwisero constituency.
Tuko na shida na lazima tukubali kama jamii ya kwamba defilement cases, rape cases na incest cases ni mingi sana hapa Khwisero. Kuna watu ambao wanatumia watoto wetu wadogo vibaya. Kuna wazazi ambao wanatumia watoto wao vibaya. Na kuna wakora ambao pia wamejitokeza sana huku ndani kwa kunajisi watoto. Kama kiongozi wa hapa lazima nikubali kwamba kuna hiyo challenge. Nishukuru kwa sababu kuna wale ambao tumepeleka kotini. Niombe jamii ya kwamba mtoto akinajisiwa wasiende kukaa vikao kule kwa maboma kukubaliana toa ng'ombe, toa mbuzi, toa nini alafu hiyo kesi inaishia pale. Walete kesi kotini kwa sababu huyo mtoto maybe amepewa ugonjwa, huyo mtoto amepewa mimba, huyo mtoto ameharibiwa maisha yake. So tunaomba cases yote ya defilement which are there, hatuwezi kataa, ziko mingi sana hapa Khwisero, ziletwe kotini, na wale ambao wanapatikana na makosa kama hayo wafungwe ndiposa iwe funzo kwa wengine.
Reporting for the Catholic Focus, Khwisero constituency, I'm Susan Bulemi.
Such a significant and commendable step in bringing justice closer to the people and communities, of course, reducing long-standing delays in the resolution of cases. And as justice systems strengthen at the grassroots level, security agencies are also intensifying efforts to keep communities safe. Police in Lugari sub-county have arrested a suspect and seized a large consignment of cannabis following an early morning operation prompted by a public tip-off. The drugs, valued at more than 200,000 Kenyan shillings, were recovered from a vehicle intercepted by officers as authorities intensify the fight against illicit drugs in the region. Let's get details of this story from Omari Joffrey.
A shift operation in the early hours of Monday, delivering a major blow to the illicit drug trade in Lugari sub-county. Police officers seized 20 kilograms of cannabis, estimated to be worth more than 200,000, during an ambush that led to the arrest of one suspect now being held at Lumakanda police station.
They managed to arrest one suspect who was in a Daihatsu small car vehicle, the vehicle besides us. And upon searching, the officers managed to recover 20 kilos of cannabis sativa, that is bank. We also want to believe that this bank is of high quality. We have looked at it, and it has a street value of about 200,000.
Confirming the incident, Lugari Deputy County Commissioner Jeremiah Tumo said the operation followed a tip-off from members of the public who reported a small vehicle suspected to be ferrying narcotics. Acting on the intelligence, officers mounted an ambush, intercepting the vehicle and recovering the drugs concealed inside.
They received that information, they acted very swiftly. They laid ambush along Tarbo-Webuye Road, and when the suspect appeared in the vicinity, he tried to evade the police track nets. He sped off towards Tarbo direction, and the officers managed to follow in hot pursuit, and the suspect turned towards the Maram Road just near Tarbo Market. And the officers continued to give chase. They caught up with him where he had tried to park at the side of the road.
The suspect was wearing long trousers resembling a police uniform, an apparent attempt to disguise himself as a law enforcement officer, and evade suspicion.
Is a long trouser that is similar to what we don as police officers, but it is not the exact kind of trouser that our officers really put on. I think it is just a way of camouflaging so that he can hoodwink members of public and those who would believe him that he is one of us, but indeed he is not. We are going to also carry out further investigations to establish whether he is one of those who has been with us maybe before, or he is with us maybe now.
Security agencies in Lugari have since reaffirmed their commitment to stamping out the sale and use of illicit drugs in the area. The Deputy County Commissioner warned individuals involved in drug trafficking that authorities will not relent, insisting that the law will take its course.
I want to send this warning to all those suspects involved in this kind of business that your days are numbered. Our officers are on high alert. We will enhance surveillance, and we are working around the clock to ensure that we meet the targets that we signed for. We suspect that the suspect was selling several other consignments along Busia towards Lomakanda. The consignment will be produced in the court of law very early in the morning tomorrow.
As investigations continue, police have urged members of the public to remain vigilant and continue sharing information to help curb drug-related crime in the region. Reporting for Catholic Focus, Capuchin TV, my name is Geoffrey Omare.
Now, let's shift the focus to Kitui, where students currently in school and those returning for the new term have been urged to work harder and prioritize their studies to secure a better future. The call was made by Mudha Ward MCA Dominic Momisi during the distribution of over 150 school boxes to learners joining junior secondary school.
Mudha Ward imepitia challenges mingi, lakini sisi kama viongozi tumejaribu kadri ya uwezo wetu tukisaidiwa na Mungu kujaribu kusaidia ile shida ya insecurity kupunguza. Kwa sababu unaona hata sasa elimu imeanza kwenda juu. Hivyo kuna changamoto ambazo zimebaki za security ama za kiusalama. Na mimi kama kiongozi tukishirikiana na Mheshimiwa Dr. Recho Kaki tunazidi kusukuma kwa nguvu kabisa tuhakikishe kwamba kila mahali imepata usalama na watoto na wanafunzi wote wamerudi shule. Kuna shule ilifungwa inaitwa ya Cheni, ambao ndio macho yetu imeangalia kuhakikisha kwamba usalama umerudi na ile shule imefunguliwa. Nilianzisha huu mpango mwaka 2023. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa mwaka wa kwanza. Tukaweza kupatia wanafunzi 150 zile masanduku za kuendea shule. Tukafuatilia mwaka uliofuata mwaka 2024. Tukawapatia pia, tukavuka mwaka 2025 kwa sababu ya ile kubadilisha syllabus ile. Lakini wakati syllabus imerudi sasa wanafunzi wanaenda grade 10 senior school, sasa tumerudi na kuwaletea masanduku tena. Nikiangalia ni mpango mzuri kwa sababu unasaidia wazazi, lakini kuna changamoto. Changamoto ni kwamba wale wanafunzi wanahitaji ni wengi. Kwa sababu ukiangalia ile hali ya mapato area hii ni kidogo. Kwa hivyo ningependa kuomba na kuhimiza wafadhili wengine wale wanaweza kuwa wako na uwezo wa kusaidia huu mradi, kwa sababu unashikilia watoto vizuri, unashika roho za wazazi na unasaidia maisha ya watoto kuinuka. Ni jambo ningewasihi na kuwaomba kwa heshima na taadhima kubwa, ili wazidi kiona jinsi wanaweza tusaidia tuongeze ile idadi, itakuwa vizuri sana, kwa sababu tutakuwa nafanya kazi ya Mungu.
That's all for today's edition of Catholic Focus News Briefs. Stay tuned to Capuchin TV for more updates on stories that matter as we continue to bring you news that informs, inspires, and uplifts. I'm Asasha Elizabeth, together with the sign language co-anchor, and on behalf of the entire editorial team that made this bulletin possible, we wish you a blessed evening.
Keep watching Capuchin TV, your staunchly Catholic identity channel. You are watching Capuchin TV. For any complaints, comments, or compliments on our programming, you can either write to us on info@capuchintv.co.ke, or you can call us directly on 0717 424 866. Your complaint shall be addressed within 7 days. Remember to keep a copy of your communication with us. Keep watching Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.